Okay, I've done the calculations and I have to make 1,200 videos to finish telling my story. And I have to make them by Friday. So there's going to be a lot of videos and they may or may not be interesting to you. But I'm going to, probably what I'll do is I'll make a bunch of them bonus videos and I'll just post them on YouTube so that you don't necessarily have to watch them to finish listening to the story. Or something like that. I don't know what I'll do. We'll just wing it and see what happens because, hey, that's always worked for me before. Okay, so the Jesus Journal, let's see, I finished writing in it in February. February of what year? Come on, Cherie, tell us what year. Oh, I wrote 100 things in here. My favorite things about you, meaning Jesus, and then I wrote 100 different things. Wow. Okay, anyway, so I'm trying to figure out what year it is. Come on, people. Oh, I'm not very organized, am I? 98. Okay, so I started this journal in October of 91, and oh, I could have just looked at the front here. And I finished it in February of 98. So that's like 7 years it took me to write this journal. And in it is basically just letters to Jesus, experiences of his presence and his love that I had, and also times when I was feeling depressed and distant from him as well. So there's just all kinds of stuff in here. But when I was finished, I decided that I would kind of type it out, and I did, and I titled it the Jesus Journal. And because I can never keep anything a secret, it's just not the way I was designed. I ended up letting a couple people read this Jesus Journal. And we had a home group that we went to at Grace Vineyard that was amazing. Okay, you may think that you've been in some awesome community groups, but we had the best one at Tammy Luff's house. That's her maiden name. Anyway, Tammy was amazing. Our little group was so bonded, and we loved each other a lot, and it was just the best group ever. And one of the people that I let read my copy of my transcript of the Jesus Journal was a guy named Brian, and his response was, "Oh my goodness, Cherie, this is something that people, especially women, need to read." And I'm like, well, really? And he's like, yes, it could be very important for women to read, to know that the Lord is the one who can meet the deepest needs of their heart. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I was kind of freaked out to let, a wider audience read the Jesus Journal, but I thought, hey, why not? So I made a few copies, just paper copies of the Jesus Journal, and I decided what I would do is kind of do a demographic study to find out if it really was as impacting as my friend thought, because hey, he was my friend, right? And your friends will tell you anything. So what I did is I created these envelopes with a Jesus Journal in it, and also a short questionnaire and a self-addressed stamped envelope so that people could read the Jesus Journal, fill out the short questionnaire, and send it back to me. And I decided I was going to give this out on the street to complete strangers so that I could get a really good feel for people's reaction. This is a brilliant plan, right? So that's what I did. I don't remember how many of them I made up, like 20, 25, I can't remember. But then I just, over the course of a week or something, I just gave them to strangers, like people that I just met in the mall, people I happened to talk to that didn't really know me. I made sure it was strangers, and I gave them a copy of it, and I said, if you have time, would you mind helping me out, because I'm considering publishing this, and if you could just give it a read, fill out the short questionnaire, mail it back to me, I'd really appreciate it. I didn't know whether these people were Christians. I assumed that most of them weren't, but I just gave this to them, and then I waited to get them back in the mail. Well, I did get a number of them back, believe it or not, and people filled out the questionnaire, and most of them were quite Canadian about it. They weren't super rude, but when they answered the questionnaire, it was obvious that they thought the Jesus Journal was weird. One person even said, I felt like this was the beginning of a new cult. Some someone else said, you know, a life of devotion cannot be lived in a family. If you want to live a monastic life, that's one thing, and be married to the Lord, but you can't do it in a family environment. Anyway, so she was obviously coming from a Catholic or a monastic background. But I got these responses to the Jesus Journal, and to be honest, they devastated me. Because I had basically just put my deepest heart out there, and I just felt like people completely misunderstood. Obviously, these people didn't know me. They didn't know my relationship with the Lord. They didn't even have a grid for Christianity to begin with. And so each response that I got just killed me a little bit more. And I should have known. It was a stupid thing to do, but I did it. And when I got the responses back, I just kind of thought, wow. If I'm wondering half the time if this is okay, if it's okay for God to be my husband, then strangers are definitely going to think this is weird. So anyway, I was really wounded by that, and but it didn't stop me from writing, because that's what I do, right? That's my love language. So as I continued to process my relationship with the Lord, and as He continued to show Himself to me as my true love, I wrote and I wrote more and more and more. This journal took me 7 years to write. Okay, well, in the coming years, I just got out all my journals to show you. Yeah, that's what happened over the next several years. I just wrote like crazy. That's what I do. 7 minutes! How did that happen? Okay, so next time I'll talk about something else. I may sing, I may not. I may juggle, who knows. See you later.